Ron Magill joins us from his home. I'm going to take a tour of the things behind him in a moment because his home is filled. It's replete with skulls and bones and all sorts of precious historical artifacts. But first, I'm going to read an email because a lot of people did not like the way that Ron Magill was treated last week. Somebody writes in, I picked a bad day to revisit the Le Batard Show. I hope you have a great rest of your week. They're writing to Magill. Like the boys said, the show is focused on the younger demographic and the sports gamblers. The show has totally gone to shit. I hope it's all a bit and the Container crew has a little more compassion than they showed today. These entitled kids must have come from generational wealth. How else can a person intern in the entertainment business? I hope the next time I check in it goes better. I can't believe what I saw today. I really can't. So I'm sorry on behalf of the show, Ron Magill, for not treating you with more grace and courtesy. You're an accomplished zookeeper.
Next time, just at me, Ron.
That's right. That's right.
And I do think the group has been largely disrespectful of what remains our most popular segment and something that families enjoy with their kids as they learn about the animal kingdom, because I don't believe there's an animal authority anywhere living in the United States right now better than this guy talking about the animals.
I agree. Let's stop trying to drive a wedge in between us then, Dan.
Well, I didn't do it. The wedge was already there, and an emailer pointed it out.
You didn't do anything.
Ron, what do you regard as the most interesting thing in your home behind you presently right now? I know I can see some I see some bones, I see some horns in the background. What's happening around you?
Greatest thing. I'm going to get out of my seat for a second. Hold on.
Yep, we'll wait for you.
This is really cool.
He does have all sorts of skulls in there as well.
A lot of wood.
Yeah.
Guys, see this?
That's a narwhal horn?
Holy shit.
That's a narwhal horn.
How big is that?
That's about almost 6 feet, maybe.
Jeez.
That looks
cool?
That's really cool.
Oh, look at that. Whoa.
They don't use that as a weapon, do narwhals? What is it used for? What is it?
Hold on a second. I got to put it back here. Hold on. Come back. Hold on.
Why do you have that in your home? It seems like it's taking up a lot of space. Where is that?
It's hanging over the sliding doors that look outside into the yard. Anyway, so narwhals, you know, the males, they get the really long ones, and they use it. They found to stun fish. They will use it to stun fish, and they use it kind of as an attraction to the females. The longer horns get more females.
Who do you regard as
Does
the most
size matter?
Size matters with narwhals. Not necessarily with humans, though.
Who do you think is the most interesting of the whales?
Wow, that's a hard one to answer. You know, narwhals are certainly interesting, but I think belugas are really fascinating. All the whales, to me, all the cetaceans are very fascinating animals. You know, you got to look at the blue whale. Jesus Christmas, the largest animal that's ever lived, bigger than any dinosaur, than any animal that's ever lived, is still living on this planet, the blue whale.
You think what of the whales in general? How smart are they? I don't know that we've spent a lot of time talking about the whales. Their eating habits, or many of them, are unusual or different than I would have expected.
Well, yes, you know, like a lot of whales, I'd have to go to another room to show it to you, but I mean, like whales we call toothed whales, and we have baleen whales. And I have actually baleen from a whale, which is like this huge piece of like keratin with filters on it, like hairs. And that's how they collect all the food that they eat. The biggest whales, blue whales, humpback whales, these are baleen whales. They don't have teeth. They don't eat big fish like people would think. They siphon food out of the water, shrimp and different types of, you know, invertebrates and things like that. It's really kind of cool stuff. But all the whales, to me, are incredibly intelligent. They're, you know, I've said it on the show before. I don't believe that whales should ever be in captivity. I believe that these animals are pelagic, they're nomadic, and I don't believe you should ever take a whale out of the wild and put it in captivity, unless you're trying to save that individual animal's life.
What do you regard as the most creative of the hunters in the Sea Kingdom?
Oh, well, that's got to be the killer whales, guys. You know, we talked about it before. You've watched these killer whales. They work like teamwork. You know, you'll see a seal on an iceberg saying, okay, I'm safe. The thing can't get to me on the iceberg. And all these killer whales get together, and they get all right next to each other, and they create this huge wave, like a tidal wave. So the tidal wave hits the iceberg, knocks the seal off, and the whale's on the other side waiting for it. Boom, they eat it. I mean, think about that. Think about the thought process that goes into these whales. Okay, let's get together here. Let's make this wave. We'll knock the seal off. We'll have one of our buddies wait on the other side and grab them. Come on, guys. This is so amazing.
Ron, there was an incredible close-up footage on a boat where somebody was videotaping a humpback whale breach out of the water, maybe like 30 feet away from them. Can you explain to us how big that would be, like with us just looking at it here? Like how enormous is that animal?
I've had that happen. I've had a humpback whale breach literally probably less than 30 feet, maybe closer to 20 feet next to the boat. It is one of the most exhilarating things you can ever imagine.
It's look at me, Louie, because you've had that happen to you is a sentence you love to utter around here, and it's a good sentence.
It's a good sentence.
I'm just trying to tell you, I'm not speaking from something I saw on television. I'm trying to relate to you that this is something that's it's hard to describe in words, guys. When something that massive comes out of, and there's no alert. There's no saying, okay, he's coming up on this side now, get ready. No, all of a sudden it's just whoosh, the thing comes out of the water, and it's so huge. It's so amazing. It's exhilarating. I don't think that, I don't feel like, for instance, oh my God, we're going to die. I never feel fear. It's one of these things where you just feel, wow, just absolute wow.
How rare numerically is it, Ron, for a whale to accidentally be breaching water, trying to eat something else, and by accident, a canoe gets stuck in their mouth and a human being is accidentally harmed by this?
I mean, it's probably one of the rarest things on the planet.
Oh, that's a Pinocchio.
You have a canoe being near a whale?
I mean, you've seen the videos all over the place. You think I'm kidding? I've seen it happen very close.
It has happened. It has happened where a whale has hit a boat coming up. But it's so profoundly rare, guys. I mean, these whales are usually generally very aware of what's above them. They know what's going on. They avoid those types of things. But sometimes they get so caught up in the feeding that they may get caught up, especially if you're in something like a small kayak or something like that. Certainly there's an issue there. There's a potential danger there, but it's incredibly rare. I mean, this is like, forget about it. Don't even think about it. Much more likely to get struck by lightning.
So they don't do it on purpose.
Oh, geez. Hit the boom, boom, boom.
Ron, I've noticed in a lot of lion videos that whenever they greet each other, they rub their heads together. Is that their main sign of affection?
Lions? Are you talking about big cats?
Yes, big cats, lions.
Dan
yes.
Campbell. Yeah.
A lot, but ironically, lions will always, the male always bites the neck of the female, and you'll see that on almost all cats. So it seems kind of rough a little bit there. And remember now, the penises of lions, all cats for that matter, have these little fleshy spines that point backwards. So when he inserts it into the female, it slides in no problem. However, if he tries to withdraw the penis while it's still erect, those fleshy spines rake the vaginal walls of the female. So you'll hear cat breeding, it kind of starts, it kind of goes, oh. Even the lions, you hear them, they kind of go, and then all of a sudden you hear, ooh, and that's when he's withdrawing, and it hurts her, and she turns around, she tries to slap the bejeebers out of him, and then 20 minutes later she's asking for it again. So I don't know if she remembers how much that hurt.
Ron, in Ohio, a zebra attacked its 72-year-old owner and bit the man's arm before the zebra was fatally shot by a sheriff's deputy. How do you feel about killing animals that basically are just exhibiting natural behavior?
I feel terrible for the zebra, but I cannot blame a sheriff. These sheriffs are not really trained in this kind of wildlife. Their objective is to protect things. I saw the video. As a matter of fact, I commented on it this morning on the news that, these sheriffs didn't know what to do. I can't blame them for doing that. What I do have to make people understand is this, and they said, oh, it's a zebra. It's kind of like a horse. Anybody who works with horses knows even a stallion, any stallion can be incredibly dangerous, especially when you've got mares around them that are in season. And this is a lone male zebra that had a bunch of female zebras around it. It was becoming very territorial. Anybody knows even a domestic horse can bite your arm off. And that's exactly what this zebra did. I feel horrible that they had to shoot it. I don't blame the police officers, though, because they're in a situation. They just saw the zebra come at this guy, try to take his arm off. You got to protect yourself.
If you were Ron, if you were at the scene, is there anything you could have done or said to that sheriff to save the zebra's life? Or
yes. The zebra. And watching the video, they could have kept that zebra back. There was a guy there with a big stick. He kept keeping the zebra away, and the zebra kept coming back. And the officers just said, "Listen, I can't take this chance. I would have told them, listen, it's just keep yourself. You're not gonna. You can keep the zebra away with a big stick. Just keep screaming and yelling to keep the zebra away. It's unfortunate. They didn't have somebody there who could tell them what to do. They just saw a guy that had his arm almost bitten off. The zebra's coming at you. Again, you cannot blame the police for that.
Ron, which animals are ticklish? I'm reading here that rats are ticklish. I'm even seeing a New York Times headline that says there is a right and wrong way to tickle a rat. So as far as you know, which animals are ticklish?
I think most animals are ticklish. I think most animals, you see it all the time in primates, just like us. But most animals have a part of their body that is extremely sensitive or quote unquote ticklish. You just have to figure out what that is. And of course, it can vary from animal to animal, not necessarily just species to species, but individual to individual. Okay, guys, I'm going to have to go pretty soon because I got people knocking on my door here. I got a bunch of workers out here. But anyway, I'm sorry.
Quickly here, it's March Madness. So in terms of your favorite animals, who would be your 4 number 1 seeds?
All right, we got the Harpy Eagle. We know that is one of the number 1 seeds. It always is. What's your other 3 number 1 seeds?
I don't know if there's any killer whale mascots, but a killer whale would be a number 1 seed. I would go, oh my God, who's calling me now? Hold on a second here. Oh, this is Rita. Hold on a second. I'm going to get on my phone.
The eagle?
Yeah, I'm doing the live LeBatard show right now, okay? I know these guys are knocking on my door. Tell them to hold off. I'll be there in a second. I cannot answer the door. This is a
priority.
I didn't know eagles could make phone calls.
Who's another number 1 seed?
Now with the number 1 seed, I'm going to go with a wolverine.
Wow. Surprise.
Bad animal, man. That's a bad animal. Bad animal.
And your final number 1 seed?
My final number 1 seed is going to be the elephant.
You struggled. What were the OLIs there? What were the ones competing with the elephant for that spot? The lion doesn't make it.
Well, everybody looks at the lion, the tiger. These are major carnivores, major predators. But at the end of the day, one lion is not going to take out an elephant. One tiger is not going to take out an elephant.
Well, but neither's a wolverine.
No, but the wolverine could escape an elephant, and really, it could, if it really thought process, it could take out like Achilles tendons on the feet of the elephant to make it collapse and die.
All right, Ron, deal with all the things that you have to deal with. Put it on the poll, please, Guillermo, at LeBatard Show. Is the lion a number 1 seed? How could the lion not be a number 1 seed? I think they're
his seeds.
I mean, but it's just blasphemous.
He's strong number 2.
He doesn't know what he's talking
about.
There we go. You're going to get those guys writing the emailers. They're going to get on you for being mean to me. Don't be mean to me.
Greg Cote just got done saying, if I choose to not fill out an NCAA bracket and be in an office pool, I'm an American outcast. It's illegal in this country to follow March Madness casually.
I believe that. I think we've reached that point where I get mocked. I follow the tournament, particularly when Miami's in it. I follow the tournament. I'm interested in it. I'm not, overly excited about it. I don't do the bracket. I don't join an office pool. I don't have that vested interest in it, but I do follow it casually, and I think I'm in the minority. I don't think there are many people in my category of following March Madness.
In Miami, you're not in the minority. Miami's always been casual followers of March Madness. The country likes March Madness. Stugotz loves March Madness. Stugotz came in here today lamenting. He's like, not fair to April. That March gets all the talk for March Madness.
There's a little bit of April in there, and they happen to be the biggest games.
Yeah,
I mean,
he came in here today on behalf of April, endorsing April after being someone who spent a lot of time saying we've got a March.
We do have a March, though. I mean,
they should rename it Marpril Madness, but it just doesn't flow off the tongue.
All right, go ahead and sit in the penalty box.
Just go sit in the Marpril Madness.
Go sit in the penalty box for a couple of minutes here. Let's update our tournament here.
Good effort, though.
And have some breaking Meadowlark news. Some big breaking Meadowlark news. But Xavier Stugotz in the tournament is a 3 seed. That means in our March Sadness matchup, and March Sadness is brought to us, Stugotz, by Dollar Shave Club. Give the people the sponsored reading that they
just
You just did.
That's
Yeah.
enough.
Just did.
Good job, Dan.
Covered that
done.
in the meeting.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
So here
The
is
meetings.
Xavier is represented by
Stan Van Gundy looks like the history teacher that all the students try to get sidetracked because he likes to tell long stories. And when he does, he never gets to the lesson.
The Musketeers. I mean,
Kennesaw State. The 14 seed is
the Owls.
represented by
Tony Baselli looks like the atheist big city lawyer in a Christian movie who in a twist at the end is revealed to be the devil.
That doesn't seem right or
He
fair.
doesn't look anything like Al
That's-
Pacino.
I don't understand what
That's
happened
not-
there. That's not.
It's a plot of Devil's Advocate.
did you know the Owls out of the A-Sun, Abdur Rahim is their coach. They have 4 guards. 2 of them are seniors. You talk about experienced guard play. They have experienced guard play, and they start 4 of them. Oh, God. Watch out for Kennesaw State,
Is
Dano.
that the Abdur Rahim?
Yeah, I believe so. I don't know.
I have been following some people who were talking about the tournament, Stugotz, and we're talking about Furman basketball. And I wondered to myself as they talked about Furman basketball, and they said, you know, they're getting raided by other schools who want their players. What the bleep are we doing?
The Paladins.
What are we doing when Furman exists as a minor league to get to the tournament so that somebody can steal their players? Mississippi State is an 11 seed. Mississippi State is a play-in game. Mississippi State is represented by
Nick Nurse looks like he sings the bop, bop, bop from Sweet Caroline at the top of his lungs.
That is fantastic.
We have graphical representation on the TV portion of what we're doing. You can always check it out on our YouTube page, LeBatard and Friends on YouTube.
that's Nick Wright. That's
That is
not
Nick
Nick
Wright.
They
Nurse.
put Nick Wright
That's
up.
Nick wrong.
Yeah.
Hey.
Instead of Nick Nurse.
Wow.
What did you Google exactly?
I don't know if Nick Wright made the tournament, but one of the ones I did like that I saw as a submission that may or may not have made the tournament was Nick Wright looks like Reno.
Might hear that at some point.
But this is Nick Nurse, not Nick Wright. Pitt, though, this is a funny visual on the 11 seed play-in Pitt.
Steve Belichick looks like he drive a Pabst Blue Ribbon monster truck.
I like Pitt. Both as a team in a submission.
Stugotz, I wanted to ask you something. You remember we were all here. The pandemic really did, Stugotz, and I think you've heard me talk about this before. I think we all have no matter how brave you might think you are or no matter how conscious you might think you are, I think the last 3 years of turbulence and unrest have left everybody a little bit uneasy, and if you're not introspective, some of the anxieties can creep up on you in a way that you're not expecting. Perhaps you've dealt with some depressive issues and don't even know you're dealing with them because perhaps you think those are for someone else. But Kevin Love and DeMar DeRozan came out a while ago leading a mental health discussion, Kevin Love talking about panic attacks. And during the time that they were talking about these things publicly that sometimes men don't talk about, especially in the hyper-masculine world of sports, where we've always treated physical therapy different from mental therapy, even though you would think these things are almost equally important given the mental strength that sports require. You have seen
Greg Cote didn't go to the penalty box. He's just been outside my door eating croquetas.
Well, he didn't have to come to the meeting because he's perfected all of this. He just went and got.
He's hungry. I
He
mean.
went and got something to eat, and didn't get penalized at all.
We should have food in the penalty box.
No
I mean,
payoff
cater
for-
it. Yeah.
He just
That's what
took
the
a snack
commissary's
break.
for.
The best croqueta of my life.
But Greg, you didn't serve your
Oh, good.
penalty.
I was in there. I did.
I think he was.
It was a light sentence.
Yeah.
I did my time.
Stugotz, Adam Silver has told us, he has said publicly that he's concerned about the happiness of his players. That his players don't seem happy. You've seen what's happened with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. And the thing that I wanted to ask you, because this is really different, and it represents improvement, but I really don't know what it means when the Memphis Grizzlies say, Ja Morant is in counseling. He's not playing basketball because he's in counseling. That is not something we have seen before with superstars. We've heard of rehab, but the last sentence of Ja Morant's apology, which was profuse, and I don't know how you guys felt about the New York Post and the strip club revealing the visuals of his night in the strip club, which looked like a night in a strip club, which are supposed to be...
For whom?
For people who spend $50,000 in a strip club, that's what a night in the strip club looks like. It felt a bit invasive as a privacy.
Yeah.
It would be something
A
that...
bit.
As a strip club, I would say that if I were a customer of that strip club, I would hold it against that strip club that any of that is released.
Angry letter coming.
But what is
That's going to fix it.
what does it mean that Ja Morant is in counseling? He's a 23-year-old, and fame and money and transition into the league can be hard for a lot of different people and a lot of different reasons. But when I place it in the context of all that other stuff I just mentioned on the front end, that Kevin Love and DeMar DeRozan were trying to instigate a mental health conversation, that Adam Silver says his players are not happy, and that Ja Morant's apology includes, I'm going to go work on my wellness. I'm going to go work on my head. What do you imagine counseling means?
I mean, he's in counseling. He needs help. I'm glad they've identified it and he's getting it. But Dan, he's a 23-year-old kid, and we see him dunking over giants, and we don't think, hey, he's 23. And my daughters are, 19 years old. That generation has lived through a lot. When you talk about the pandemic, when you talk about all the things that they've had to deal with in the last 4 or 5 years. And so when you combine that with getting all that money at such an early age, that stardom and all that stuff, I have no idea how that affects an individual. And I imagine it affects each individual differently. And Ja Morant has not handled it well, but he's not the only one. And I think we just casually forget, hey, he's dunking over Giannis. Oh, yeah. But he's 23.
But it's not just that. We also think that fame and money are the keys to happiness. Like, a lot of people value those things above all others and don't acknowledge that Tyson Fury, coming from...
We also don't know if Ja Morant has a happiness problem.
No, we do not. But I don't assume that when Tyson Fury arrives at the pinnacle of success, removed from families, decades of family fighting in the streets, a gypsy street fighter. He arrives at the heavyweight championship, the height of his dreams, and he immediately gains 100 pounds and develops a cocaine problem because whatever he thought the dream was like, it wasn't what he thought it was like. And I don't know if Ja Morant has a happiness problem, but he has a wellness issue that he is going to work on privately, and he's going to miss games. When I don't think waving a gun on an Instagram live video, I don't think of that as a wellness problem. I think of that as something that's not very smart that a young person might do while posturing, but this is now morphed into this guy is missing an indefinite amount of time, a superstar in the league for counseling, and it's not something you've seen happen a whole lot in the history of that sport. That anyone who is in Ja Morant's position comes out publicly and the framing of it all is counseling. And counseling is better when you're a brand than it is some of the other things. Counseling, we have arrived at a place in progress where you send someone to counseling and people can understand after what the last few years have been like, no matter how much money you have, I can understand someone needing counseling or mental help or asking for help with anything.
That's a good place to be at. And those skeptics out there could say, well, this is just a public relations concoction, and this is how you address that, and while also garnering some sympathy. But I think it's genuine, and we should take it at surface value, and we should also respect it and not leap to assumptions about one's general happiness. We know what some of the issues are, and it's just what some of the allegations were and what we've seen on Instagram, and we know that it's unbecoming of a superstar, and the organization shared the concerns that most people had right now. I think that's at the heart of what's being addressed. If there's something larger and he can end up being a better person because of it, all power to him.
I think it's a real breakthrough and very good that leagues and teams and players are being fairly upfront about this, because it is nothing to hide. It's nothing to be ashamed of if you need to work on your mental game, on your mental health. And the fact that they're not hiding it and saying, John Morant's got an injured ankle, we hope to have him back in a couple of weeks. They're being truthful that he's going through some form of therapy that he needs, and more power to him. And what you said is entirely true. We think that money solves everything when, in fact, money can create problems more than it solves problems. With John Morant, we're hearing that, he's supposedly hanging with the wrong crowd, quote unquote, whatever that means. Maybe money is a factor there, perhaps.
It's just hard. It's just hard to know what's really going on in his head. But like Mike said, I feel like when a team announces what he's doing, it feels more PR-y. It's like there's a lot of bad press around him right now.
Going through the process.
Let's just get the news story going in a different direction. I mean, it's tough to really know what's really going on there, but it just kind of feels PR-y when it's the team doing it.
I guess it can be both, right? This is a solution that is the best available to all parties, and if John Morant ends up getting better because of it, that's a win for everybody. You started this segment by saying Adam Silver's had a happiness problem. I do think that he's gone to some lengths to address that happiness problem. This is now an option. This is far more a welcoming environment than it used to be. The travel has been really adjusted to the point that you have baseball style double headers essentially with days off in between, because travel when you're going through it can be a trigger that makes things worse. So he has taken steps.
It is a new normal, though, organizationally, for everyone who is leading in sports to have the idea of missed games for mental health. That's a new thing. It has to be crazy to him, even though he's 83 years old, that he's been living this life for a long time. But when you think college basketball face and voice, this is still a name that's very close to the top of the list on what you think of first.
Very close. He's a legend. He's at the top of the list. He is the list. It's
Okay.
Dick Vitale.
There's
He's
no
March.
one else. There's it. That's just Dick Vitale. It's nobody else is allowed to be on the list according to Stugotz, because this is the guest that's on the line, and it's not Bill Rafferty.
I'll throw in Raft. I'll throw in even Jim Nance, perhaps Clark Kellogg. But Dick Vitale is college basketball.
Dick, it is good. It is good to hear from you. We are glad to have you on. It is strange still to you after all of these years, right? It's been close to 50 years that you've been doing this stuff. But when I introduce you as the face and voice of college basketball, nobody gets used to that, do they?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. It's really nice of you guys. It's been really a run that's just exceeded any dream I had. I started first game I ever did was in 1979, ESPN's actual first major college game, and I got fired. I got the Ziggy in the pros. Pistons sent me to the showers at a young age, and I didn't know where I was going with my life, to be honest with you. And it wasn't for my wife pushing me out of the house, man. Because they called me up, Scotty Connell did, and he said, "Yeah, I'd like you to do our very first game." He said, "I was the producer, charge at NBC. We did your last game as a college coach. We were in the Sweet 16. We lost to the number one team in the country. I was at the University of Detroit. We lost to Michigan. Heartbreaker. Doing the game was John Wooden and Kurt Gowdy, and I was in awe. I was in my early 30s. And after the game, he told me that when they left the arena, we lost a real tough game to them in the last minute. And when he left, he said, John Wooden and Kurt Gowdy said, "Man, Scotty, I love that guy's enthusiasm and energy, man, his passion, a young guy." He said, "I wrote your name down. Well, I've just been named the head of ESPN, a new network, and I got your name down. I saw you just got fired by the Pistons. I want you to do our very first game." And I said, "Man, you kidding me?" He said, "What network?" He said, "ESPN." I said, "Sounds like a disease. What the hell's ESPN? Are you kidding me?" I said, I'm not interested. I'm going back. I want to coach in college where you control situations and, you can recruit players. You can get players. You're locked in contracts in the NBA many times. So anyway, make a long story short, I did it 44 years now. I'm still doing it.
And the enthusiasm, do you ever have to fake it? Do you have to fake it every once in a while? You're in Lubbock, Texas doing a game, and you're like, don't really feel like being here today.
Never have. I swear to you. That's the one thing I'm very proud of, and people that know me, like in Detroit, the writers say when they see me now, some of the guys that covered me, et cetera, they'd say, "Man, they don't realize this." And we saw that every day, every day. That's been my life, guys. I came up from a real good family, mom and dad uneducated, fifth grade education, but had such an incredible effect on my life. And taught me in life that to enjoy life, and I've tried. I enjoy. I'm stealing money. I mean, come on. What do? I sit courtside, get paid for doing the game, doing something I love, and it really hit me in perspective. The last year, as many of you know, I went through kind of hell with 2 battles and 2 different cancers, and lost my voice, could not speak. In fact, I want you to know you're the first radio show that I'm doing. Really, my doctor has given me total orders to limit all the work I do because I say yes to everybody. And he said, Dick, you can't do it. You have 2 major vocal cord surgeries. You don't want a third, and you don't want cancer of your throat. And I had what they call pre-cancer, dysplasia of the vocal cords. But then I came down with melanoma. I came down with lymphoma. And all that time, I just kept battling and battling and battling. I went through chemo for about 7 months. And I think somebody just sent me an article that's appeared in today, I guess USA Today, saying that I had some dark moments, and I did. So true. You lay in that hospital bed, and when your family leaves, they come all every day. They give you that support. Then they leave after you're doing your chemo, and you're laying there by yourself. I mean, I was thinking, gee whiz, am I going to live another day? I was just thinking about basketball, and it just put it in perspective. And I enjoy every moment now. I'm 83. I feel again like 23. When I was doing chemo, I was 83, feeling like 103. But I feel 23. The kids treat me like royalty. I just did the Big 12 championship. Walk in the arena and start chanting your name and stuff. I mean, I feel like a kid. I really do.
What have you learned over the last year, Dick?
Excuse me?
What have you learned over the last year?
I learned about the love, family, friends. I can't tell you enough, Dan and Greg and Stu, the situation, the messages I received, the everyday text messages galore, prayers galore. And every time I'd be laying in the hospital, I think about parents' words. My mom and dad used to always tell me, and I lost my eye. I think you guys all know that. I lost it as a kid. I poked it with a pencil. And I'm blind in my left eye. And I remember at that time, she would always say to me, Richie, was never Dick, with her Italian way, Richie, you could be what you want to be. You got energy. Don't let that stop you. You could be what you want to be. And they encouraged me, and never to believe in camp. I would hear that all the time. Don't let camp be part of your life. And I'm laying in a hospital, and I would hear my mother's words, and I would hear Jimmy V's words. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. I would hear that constantly while I'm laying there, and those things got me through it. They really did, and it sounds crazy, but I'm telling you, they got me through a tough time.
Dick, I'm always talking here because it's hard to age with grace in this business. Your passion is a marvel and an inspiration, and a lot of young people don't have respect for the past. So if you or Lee Corso or anyone else it makes a stumble in his 80s, people seize very quickly on you. What is your deal with the network and with working? Are you someone who gets to call your own shots in terms of how it is that this ends for you professionally?
Well, I think they've been so good to me, really treated me like royalty, especially during my tough time. I mean, they hung with me and kept calling me and kept encouraging me, all my colleagues and people there. I don't know about, I control, but I do know this. I've been told by George Bodheimer when he was president. I was told by John Skipper, and I'm told again now by our great, which I love this guy, Jimmy Pitaro, and Jimmy basically, has told me, as long as you're able to work and you want to work, you got a job here. And I tell you, you made a great point there. When you get up in age, they can't wait to knock you down, especially today with social media, in terms of, he's washed up, he's done, he can't even remember that guy's name, he can't do. So I have worked, I swear to you, harder than I've ever worked in my life to make sure that doesn't happen. Nobody has been able to ever accuse me of not being prepared. You may not like style, you may not like, that's your prerogative, and I can respect that for people. But preparation and knowledge, I would never embarrass. I've told my bosses, I don't know how many times, I'm 83, man. I never thought I'd be working this long. And I said, you're not going to have to tell me when it's over. The day I wake up, like you said about Lubbock, going there, you maybe not in the mood. There hasn't been that day. Hasn't been a day where, I wake up and I say, oh, gee whiz, I got to go to a game tonight. I got to go here. Are you kidding me? I love it. I couldn't wait to get there for the Big 12 championship and to be there. I can't wait to do on ESPN International. We'll be in about 70 countries around the world doing the Final Four because CBS obviously has the games in the States, but I'll be doing them international. I just can't wait for that moment.
You do love it, Dickie V, more so than anyone I know. And so I'm wondering, but the game has changed, Dick. And so I'm wondering, how do you feel about the current state of college basketball with transfer portals, with NIL? How does Dick Vitale feel about all that?
Don't like it. Don't like it at all. I mean, I do believe players should definitely get compensated. I do. I think there should be more rules and regulations involved in it in terms of this. They just thought, well, it's the Wild West now. It's the Wild West. Transfer stability, no stability in lineups. Teams line up. I do games. I mean, I look at the lineup. They're from all over. I mean, Texas is really good. Kid from Creighton transferred there. Kid from Minnesota. I mean, all over the place. And I just don't like it. I think we're teaching wrong values to kids. Quit, go somewhere else. You're not playing. You're not. It used to be. This is the fun thing. I mean, the sad part. It used to be, and I could understand it. If a kid didn't play, didn't get playing time, he wanted to move on, maybe somewhere else. That's healthy. There's nothing wrong with that attitude. But we got stars. So that tells me there's some illegal recruiting going on behind the scenes, because that wasn't the real reason for the transfer portal. Transfer portal was to give a kid don't have to sit out a year if he was unhappy at a place because he wasn't playing. But we got stars and teams to transfer, and they all want to know what they're going to get from the NIL, and we hear about numbers, 500,000, 800,000, $1 million. I mean, is that supposed to be college? I don't know. You tell me, guys. I don't say I'm old tradition.
It would have been nice to have in college, I'll tell you that.
It is all different than it used to be. Dickie V, we do not want to strain your vocal cords. We do appreciate, we are flattered that you have made us your first stop here while you're saving some energy here, getting ready for the madness of March. Always good catching up with you, sir. Please don't be a stranger.
Could you do me one favor? We have a big raising money, as you guys know, for Kids Battle of Cancer. That's my incredible obsession. I've raised $55 million so far, and it's not enough. We have my annual gala on May 5 here, and an incredible night it'll be. We're honoring people like David Robinson, Buster Posey, and John McEnroe and his brother Patrick. It'll be a great, great night. But more than that, coming up, and tomorrow's the deadline. Anybody that wants to take and enter in a raffle to win a weekend in Sarasota, Florida, spend the night with me at my house with my wife at dinner.
I want
watch
that.
the Sweet 16 together. Just go to v.org/Super16. v.org/Super16, and all it's $100 donation to the V Foundation for doing that. And the winners are getting treated like royalty. They're going to get a cruise on Saturday night.
What?
In the Bay here, down here, Sarasota, dinner cruise. Friday night at my house, March 24th, sitting talking hoops. And it'll be a great, great event. You guys ought to apply. I want to have you want to win and come down here.
I was going to ask you, Dick, can I come? Can I join you even if I don't win? I will apply, but can I come even if I don't win?
He'll also tell you he's going and then not go as well.
For Dickie V, Sweet 16, I will.
Say,
Sit around the house,
you'll say
little
you're
lasagna.
Going.
I mean, are you kidding me?
For those driving, by the way, we're going to put that link in the episode description on the podcast. We want you to be safe out there. That sounds like a great prize that Stugotz is going to be signing up
So
for.
that was a yes, Dickie V, right?
Dickie, thank you for being on with us, sir. I'm glad that you secured the V for yourself. You deserve it. V.org.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it very much. God bless. Thanks for having me on.
All right.
Much love. Looking forwd to hearing
at the house.
you on the broadcast. Stugotz, why do you do that?
Because I'm gross.
Yes, that's pretty much covers it. Did Aaron Rodgers sit on his phone? Because Stugotz has found a tweet from Aaron Rodgers that is just some capitalized letters, some S's, some U's, and some L's. Is it code for some sort of spiritual language in a different place where they talk in multiple tongues, spirit world, or is it just he sat on his phone?
No idea. I have no idea. But what I did is I responded with a couple of heart emojis and a couple of crying face emojis because I love Aaron Rodgers. I do. I mean, listen, some people are getting worn out. Some people like Greeny are bailing on Aaron Rodgers. I'm not. I've waited 40 years. I'll wait 4 more days, 4 more weeks, 4 more hours. I don't care how long it takes. He is gathering his friends, okay? Alan Lazard is one of them. They need to find that animal, Bakhtiari, and when they do, this deal will be done. But I'll tell you what I will do, or I would do if I was Jets general manager Joe Douglas. Tomorrow, at I think 4 o'clock, they could officially make an offer to Lamar Jackson. If I don't have an answer from Aaron Rodgers by 4 o'clock tomorrow, I might think about making an offer to Lamar Jackson. I'm just saying.
It was a reference to Rasul Douglas, a Packers cornerback who had tweeted stuff earlier in the day about like, I'm still talking to him. So he's saying Sewell, and then that guy quote tweeted Aaron's thing. I told y'all I had his phone. So he's just doing a bit but it's a Packers teammate. It's not a Jets guy tweeting. So I don't know.
Are you tired of Aaron Rodgers yet? Are people tired of the Aaron Rodgers saga? Trey Wingo did the move after Mike Ryan did the move. 12 hours later, he reported it will be the Jets. Mike Ryan reported first that it will be Aaron Rodgers. He is going to the Jets. It is official according to Mike Ryan, even though it is not official. Mike Ryan, are you willing to push out your report a little bit based on the talking to your sources to make it official today? Are you willing to say that Mike Ryan, newsbreaker, information guy, is going to say today it will become official as Stugotz threatens Aaron Rodgers, tries to run him away with a deadline and a threat of another quarterback who they're going after.
After saying I'd wait 4 more weeks. I mean,
yes, very contradictory.
Little pressure.
Per usual.
Feels like it should be today, but I just realized that Aaron Rodgers loves this attention.
Yeah.
So he's, I think he's waiting on the Lazard stuff because there's a restructuring possibly coming here, and they're waiting to see how many people they can fit inside their cap. He did this last year, too, when he announced, although it was announced that he was returning to Green Bay, he didn't actually sign for several days after the fact to see what they could do and where he could help them. So I think he really likes the attention, but it's done. He's a Jet. What's
the Lazard stuff? What are the details?
They're trying to work out a deal with Alan Lazard, and they've already done some restructurings. They said that they're not going to bring Braxton Berrios back, so they're making roster moves and they're moving money around.
I mean, Aaron, I can imagine Aaron saying, "Hey, Berrios, get rid of him." Seriously, I could turn anyone into Braxton Berrios.
Well, he cheated on Copel's sister allegedly, so he had to go.
Okay.
Ouch!
Wow.
A quote here from Shaquille O'Neal, Stugotz.
Shaq. Big Aristotle. Diesel. The big cactus. Shactus. You were saying?
What if he doesn't want Lazard on the Packers, so he's sending him to the Jets thinking, like, oh, Aaron's going to the Jets, and this is the way out. You just send the people you don't want to the Jets, and you stay with the Packers.
It is a good trick. It's extra sinister. The people that you don't want, that you don't get along with.
Well, and he's now making sure that, like, if he doesn't like Lazard, now he's making sure he's not going to have a quarterback because all the other quarterbacks are signing elsewhere. Jimmy G's gone. Derek Carr's gone.
Right,
Mike White is gone.
They can make that offer to Lamar tomorrow at, I think, 4 o'clock. I mean, that's a big deadline.
Stugotz, the Shaq quote that I want to read to you, if I were to take all of the evolutions of sports commentary, the distortions, the viruses, the contaminations, and distill it to a single sentence of what I want sports commentary to be in the future. If I could just put it in a capsule that provides all the nutrients for sports commentary from analysts, I would like it to be Shaq's quote on the Draymond and Dylan Brooks beef, which reads the following way. This rivalry is funny to me, Shaq says. It's really just two trash-ass players beefing over who's more butt. I mean, Draymond Green is a first ballot Hall of Famer. 4 championships, Defensive Player of the Year, but Shaq has the credentials to say of Dylan Brooks and Draymond, this rivalry is funny to me. It's really just two trash-ass players beefing over who's more. And then the killer is the dismount of butt. It's not even the courtesy of ass. It's just butt.
Kind of redundant, isn't it?
How is it redundant?
Trash ass and then butt.
The big Aristotle.
You mentioned that
You said that
already.
already,
That's
yeah.
redundant. That's what's redundant. Stugotz's lazy trick is what's redundant. There's nothing in it. He forgot he did it 3 minutes ago.
Yeah, but then you read the quote and it deserved it again.
It didn't really deserve it again.
Classic Aristotle.
And
right
you know
there.
it.
Yeah.
Is that all you're going to offer me today? Because you've checked out since
It's
then.
enough.
You were
And you know it.
Is that all you've had over the last, I don't know, 90 minutes of us doing stuff
No,
together?
it's a Tuesday, so he probably has it back in my day.
Actually, I don't. It's
What?
it's a quality control week.
Thrown off.
back in my day.
Clocks
yeah.
ahead. Yeah.
Dana White, Stugotz, says that everyone attacks Power Slap because he's involved. And I think everyone attacks Power Slap because it's the most barbaric, stupid thing I've ever seen.
Did you see his tweet last night where he was thrilled to announce that Rumble TV is now the exclusive home for the next 2 seasons of Power Slap, and that is how you spin a cancellation.
I want to ask everyone listening to this, even if you think it's a good idea in the hypothetical, because I have seen viral videos before this of guys being knocked unconscious who aren't trying to defend themselves. It's just basically the most barbaric thing that you will see in sports or tried to camouflage as sports.
And it could be more barbaric. It could be Power Punch.
I don't know how any of this is licensed.
Fair point.
Given what we know about concussions right now,
Yeah.
I don't know how any of this is allowed to exist. And when I say I don't know, I'm not even saying it as informed condemnation. I'm simply saying how every time I watch these people and then somebody falls on the floor and their hands are spasming in front of their face the way that Tua's did on a field, I'm like, how is any of this televised sport?
Plus, half of them look like a slap where it looks like fingers are doing it, and then the other one, it's like their palm. It's like the total different. There's a big difference between the fingers slapping you and catching like the start of the wrist here. It's like getting punched in the face, even though they're just calling it a slap.
But is Dana White right that this is something that is getting attacked because he's involved, or is it just something that's getting attacked because everyone's looking at it and saying, this is very primal, this is very lowest common denominator on what you're going to put on television and file it under entertainment and sport?
No, but I would admit that the timing of the promotional marketing campaign surrounding his own slapping incident probably allowed for more criticism. So I can understand why he thinks they're attacking it because of him, but I think they're attacking Power Slap because it's barbaric. He has something to do with it, but not all.
The other thing with Power Slap too is that like in MMA, in boxing, you have the ability to defend yourself, right? It's a technique sport. Power Slap, there's no technique. You're holding like a bar behind your back, making sure that you don't fall and break your neck or whatever.
You just got to eat it.
As somebody who loves combat sports, I can't watch Power Slap. I'm like, you know what? I'm good. Like I don't need this.
Well, there's no art and no defense, obviously, but there's no art in it.
Well, it's fun watching somebody get slapped. I'm going to come out and say it. I've seen those highlights, and I've seen someone get knocked out. I'm like, oh,
like Chris Rock.
They don't.
Shit!
I can't. It makes me
That's
wince.
crazy.
It makes me wince every time.
Yeah,
It's
no, that's
too
part of the
like.
appeal.
Yeah.
Once,
Crazy.
though. Once.
Nah,
It's
I
part
could do
of
it
the-
like I did it once for an entire day. Just shit!
You just watch
Guy
people.
got slapped.
You just watch people's
Powerfully.
face swell. You see their ear go
Yeah, I'm like,
red.
ooh, I would not like that. That is, woo!
Mike, there's
Slapping.
a difference though. Like you watch like the Ukrainian underground Power Slap division. Like,
Well, yeah, no, I'm a
those
purist.
guys are built different. These guys are a little, I don't know. I don't know if it's that they're thinner. They don't look as big and meaty as the other dudes from like Dagestan or whatever.
No.
But like this one, I'm like,
No, it's
these
like
guys are frail. I don't like this.
I know it's like a little tinge of the Eastern European slapping contest with a little sprinkle like Salt Bay of meth, and I love it.
It's so impressive when they just eat it and it doesn't affect them. Because like the viral ones are when they actually get knocked out, but when they slap them and it's just like nothing,
Yeah.
and they just look right back at them like, nope, nothing.
I'll concede it's barbaric. It's awful. It should not be licensed, and I love every second of it. Not enough to watch though. I'll see like the highlights on Twitter and be like sitting on my couch going, "Goo!"
The highlights a slap. I mean, you don't need to watch it.
Ooh, dude got slapped.
In
power.
2030, the way that we're going, it's just going to be the Nevada Athletic Commission licensing two people sticking an ice pick in each other's eyes.
I'd watch
I'd
it.
watch. Yeah.